tonight I am talking to a gentleman that I have been able to collaborate with for a few times, and who has been the major writing and creative person behind some of the very loved RPGs in this industry. You know him from Alien and Terminator, Carbon Gray, and now he's back on Kickstarter right now. With Magnetic Press Play, they've got the role-playing game of the role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes, which is on Kickstarter right now. If you are interested in it, the link for the Kickstarter is in the description of this session. Feel free to go check it out. They've got some books, a campaign box, some minis. It's really really awesome to see this just kind of take off over the last few days. So yeah, stick around. We're going to be talking with Andrew E.C. Gaska about the role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes. Hey everyone, welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Tonight we're going to be talking to Andrew E.C. Gaska about his latest endeavor in the TTRPG space, the role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes. And like I said, if you're interested in it, feel free to hit the link in the description. If you're backing this project, let me know in the comments. If you are just a fan of everything that Mr. Gaska has put out, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. We'd love to feature and focus on all sorts of TTRPG products and creatives and publishers and all that. And Magnetic Press Play is doing some really great stuff. They put out Carbon Gray, which I thought was a really, really well done product line. And so I'm really excited to see this endeavor for the Planet of the Apes. I'm a big Planet of the Apes fan. My family, my dad actually introduced them to me as a kid, so we used to watch all the movies back in the day. So I was really excited to see that Andrew was working on this, and we're going to have this coming out. So, yeah, so that's it. Let's bring Andrew on and chat a little bit about this Kickstarter.
Hey,
what's going on?
Good to see you, man. It's always good to see you.
Thanks so much for coming on and giving your time tonight. Congratulations on the Kickstarter.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a pretty strong start, and I think it's just going to get bigger as we are able to release more and more stretch goals. So
nice. There's quite a few viewers on here right now. Let's POB P Observer says, I'm backing it. I will ask my players to only talk in hoot and holler. Love it.
That's going to be a lot of fun trying to figure out what dice to roll.
Walter W says, good evening. I backed the kit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much. So Drew, you're just you're just like hitting it out of the park with a lot of these product lines lately for the TTRPG industry. That's congratulations on this. Now, most people don't know, but I think maybe some of them do, but you've been tied to the Planet of the Apes IP for a while. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've done previously before this project line?
Yeah, in 2011, I wrote and produced a hardcover illustrated novel called Conspiracy of the Planet of the Apes. It was set during the original film, but instead of telling the tale of the astronaut Taylor, it follows the astronaut Landon, which explains what happens to him. And spoiler alert from a movie from 1968, he winds up lobotomized, but so it's what leads to that lobotomy. So it's the feel-good book of the summer. And maybe it's the feel nothing book, actually. But regardless, I did that book in 2011, and I did tons of research for the book and figured out a whole bunch of things about the property, that ways to weave other things from the expanding universe, like the comics and whatnot, into the story. And I was originally supposed to be a line of books, but the license ended, and Titan got the license to do the books, and they were concentrating on the stuff having to do with the newer movies. So I thought maybe that was the end of my Planet of the Apes work. And then in 2015, I got a call from the then franchise director at 20th Century Fox. This is before they were Disney, who said to me, it was weird. It was called like the week before Christmas, and he said to me, "Hey, I actually just read your novel, and I think you may know this property better than we do. Do you want to be a consultant?" And who says no to that? So I became first for Apes, and then that led to me consulting on Alien, and then also writing the complete Predator Bible. But on Apes, the first thing they asked me to do was to make sense out of the timeline. It was very convoluted in the animated series. The dates don't match up to what happens in the movies, and I wound up drawing upon something from the third and fifth film, where they say time is a highway with an infinite number of lanes. If you change your lane, you change your destiny. And I used that as the basis to make the timeline work. So I had a multi-lane timeline that I made from those like 80 pages long, dealing with everything. And they were like, well, just do the movies and the TV series and the animated series. So I was like, well, I can add in the comics and everything if you want. So they're like, oh, I'll add everything in. So I put everything I could that made sense canon-wise. And we figured that if it didn't make sense canon-wise, meaning contradicted stuff that was in the movies or whatnot, then it's in one of the other lanes of existence, since it's an infinite number of lanes. So working on that led to I did when Titan decided they were going to do the classic ape stuff. There was a short story anthology. I have a short story in there, and then I wrote the follow-up to Conspiracy, which is Death from Planet of the Apes, and that came out in 2018. So yeah, for a long time I've been going ape.
Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about this RPG that you've got coming out. That's on Kickstarter right now and it's funded. Congratulations on that. That's really awesome. It's well above its funding, and you're knocking off stretch goals. So this is actually the first official Planet of the Apes RPG. That it showcases. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the original film series. Basically the classic continuity era from those films, the tie-in show, the animated series, and various novels. How were you inspired by this material that is being used as part of an RPG that's nearly, what is it, like 50 years later? That it's been like it's crazy to think about, because I watched these movies as a kid, and it's like. And they had been out for a little while too, but like it's blows my mind that it's been like 50 years since those movies like first came out.
When we first pitched on the idea of it, it's such a full universe. It's like between the craziness of the mutants and then you could play the tribal humans, and the astronauts, or play just an apes completely society. There's all these different things to take, and then there's everything that's out there beyond the forbidden zone, and then you add in all the stuff from the comics and everything, and it's the same thing that happened with Alien. Like when I first shopped around the idea of Alien, which eventually my friend Joe LaFavi was able to connect with Free League and brought the concept of the game to them. For 18 months, everywhere I went, they said, "Oh, Alien will never sell. It's a one-note thing." And every time I've talked about apes, it's been the same thing. Oh, so they're talking apes, and the Statue of Liberty. Okay, it's like there's a lot more, especially in a property that's had stuff come out for all this time. It's a rich universe, and it's almost inspiring. Like, what's over the next hill way, because if we finally get out of the forbidden zone, then what's there? What's over the next mountain range past that? It's endless possibilities.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you have an extensive experience, like adapting some really well-loved science fiction properties to tabletop role-playing games. We've mentioned a couple. We've mentioned Alien. We've mentioned Terminator. What about a property? What is it about a property that makes it exceptionally suitable for role playing, and what about Planet of the Apes makes this world a welcome tabletop setting? Like what makes it a setting that you think people will want to play in?
Well, Planet of the Apes at its best is a mirror of our society,
Sure.
for all its faults, and even its positive sides, but really it's to look at what are we doing, and there can be a lot of fun in exploring that in a satirical way. There's plenty of jokes throughout, say, the original film where they, what they say, humans say, human do, and things like that, which work just as well as on Apes. So I think there's a lot of fun in taking a jab at our real world through the lens of a Planet of Apes. And one of the things that we wanted to do gameplay wise is in the films, you see, in the first film especially, there's very clearly chimpanzees wear green and they all do science and medical stuff. The orangutans all wear orange and they're all doing political and philosophical stuff, and the gorillas are all the military and the police. They say in the film that there's been a quota system in place for centuries, and that has just been lifted. Okay, so we took that, and while everything is generally that's exactly as it is in the films, the player characters can choose to be, I want to be a chimpanzee soldier instead of being a gorilla soldier. You have the choice. You're the brave new generation that's going to make a difference in this world. So it opens up a lot of possibilities there. And again, it's a reflection of our society. The chimpanzee soldier is going to be picked on by all the gorilla soldiers. What are you doing here, chimpanzee? It gives us a lot of room for role playing. And one of the things that ties into that also is the addition of the tribal humans. If you have a tribal human character player who's playing a tribal human at the table, they cannot speak. They have to talk in pantomime to tell the lawgiver, which is the GM, and the other people at the table what they're trying to do. Now they have the option of having their character learn gestural language, which is sign language, which takes a while. And eventually, if they work at it, they can learn to speak like Nova did in the second film. But it's a challenge to have to play somebody who can't speak at the table. So, there's lots of fun things we've done with it.
That's really cool. I like the idea of that. That's that it brings a whole new layer to role playing games, which is awesome. Now this particular product line and this Planet of the role playing game for the Planet of the Apes uses a D6 system, which is the system that I grew up with as a kid. I didn't play a D20 system growing up. I played the West End games, the Star Wars games, which was back then we didn't have all this Star Wars content that coming out. So anytime a new Star Wars RPG book came out from West End Games, it was like, yes, give me more information. I want more knowledge. So that's a little history about me. But this is something that has a huge community still playing these games and this system. Why was this system chosen as the basis for the Planet of the Apes RPG?
The versatility of it is essentially why I went after it when they first announced that they wanted that Magnetic was going to do games. I like you really enjoyed the system, and I had first talked about. They first said, "Well, what do we want to do about rules?" And I said, "Well, we're going to probably need 2.5 years of development time," and nobody wanted to do that. So I said, well, we could start with the West End Games rules. I could track down who has them and get the rights to that. And everybody thought that was a good idea. And what's been great about it is that we used it on the Carbon Gray game. We first did our Magnetic variant of the rule system, which essentially is the same, but in certain things, we've done things to speed up gameplay to feel more like a modern games have. And in each case, we put a paragraph next to it. If you want to play the classic rules, this is what you do instead. So it's not replacing it; it's existing alongside it, if that makes sense. But one of the things we especially noticed with Apes was how versatile really the rule system is, because we can plug in all these rules that are specific to a genre that just seem to blend naturally with the D6 system as it is. So it's been a lot of fun developing it, and especially comparing it to other games that we're developing for the future and how different each one of these can be while still using this base system. So.
Nice. So what can you kind of give us a like a teaser, or can you reveal kind of what some of the new and unique rule systems have been added to this, I guess, D6 MV system that you have for Planet of the Apes? Can you kind of give us a little bit of
Yeah,
some details?
I mean, one of the things is character personas, which is you get remarkable abilities for your character. We started something similar to this in Carbon Gray, and you can pick quirks for your character, which help you to play the character at the table. And there's something called motive now, which helps you to define. Basically, we were realizing that a lot of times we have new players at the table who'd never gamed before. The first thing someone says as a joke is, "What's my motivation?" They don't know what to do. So we've given you a motive to play with and take in whatever direction you want. Now, obviously, if you're creating your own character, you pick your own motive. But for the pre-generated characters, you may find they have their motive set already. In addition to that, we've gone and added what we call fear and madness rules, because inspired by Heston saying it's a madhouse. Because in the second film, it may not be evident to people who watched it only casually, but James Franciscus, who played Brent, in interviews said that he was playing the character as if he was becoming unhinged, as if he was slowly losing his mind. And that was a really impactful thing for me when I went back and watched his performance with that in mind, and something I picked up in one of my novels as well. But it just seemed like we could have this. You're a delicate balance. You're finding out that your world was destroyed, and that everything you loved has been dead for over 2,000 years, and now you are not even. You're a hunted animal now. So how are you going to cope with that? So there are rules for that descent into madness. There's also mementos, which is objects which could give you special bonuses based on how important they are to you. A perfect example is when Nova gets Taylor's dog tags, she holds on to them for the whole rest of the movie in the second film. So to her, they helped give her strength. So it adds to your will attribute, which the skill grit gives you extra abilities. So that when you call upon it, you grab the dog tags like this, and you can get some extra abilities to get you out of a situation. So that's just some of the stuff. There's a lot more. One of the things that I'm really happy with that we've come up with is an environment system, which allows you basically anything the GM chooses. All right, we're going to go into the forest now. You go to the forest page. Here's some quick things that could happen in the forest. Here's a table for this with the forest, and here's we have this with extreme heat. We have this with extreme cold. It just makes it easier to boom. Here's my rules. I don't have to think about it. I can just go to this page, and I got this whole environment covered right here.
Nice.
So it's tools to help the players play better, to find their voice, and also tools to help the game master, which we call the lawgiver, basically be able to run things much easier rather than have to flip all over the place.
Yeah, that's always a concern, like when a rule set is so dense that like you have to constantly flip through a rule book and reference where do I find this ruling, or where do I find this charter or whatever. It just kind of takes everybody out of the game for a few moments, and that's never a good thing. And so that's good. That's I like that a lot, that you kind of are putting that at the forefront with this line. You've talked a little bit about this next question that I have for you, with the fact that sometimes humans can't speak, and they might have to learn how to speak and communicate. But this game lets you play as ape or human, from what I understand. That's
yeah. You can play any of the ape types that are seen in the film. You can play tribal humans, which are they're nomadic and they don't have much. They have loincloths pretty much, and they can't speak. You can play time lost astronauts, or basically like Taylor was, or you can play one of two mutant factions. the mutants that, called the Fellowship, which we see in the second movie, and the mutants called the Underdwellers, which are from the animated series, and very different than the mutants that were in the movie. So there's rules to play all these. There's benefits and basically negative things for each group. If you're an ape, you're in the best position pretty much because it's a planet of apes. You have an infrastructure. You can go out and venturing, saying, "I'm tired. I'm going to go to this hotel, or I'm going to go home." It's like the tribal humans. They don't have anything. Okay,
right.
And the astronauts, the only hope they have of getting any kind of support system is by appealing to apes that are sympathetic to their cause. Mutants have this whole structure underground, but they go above ground and they have problems with the sun, and they also now they'll be hunted as if they're humans because they look like humans, but they also have the benefit of creating illusions. So if a mutant wanders into an ape city, if they make the right rolls, they might be able to convince someone that they're an ape until they get around the corner, So there's lots of stuff that go on with any of these.
That's very cool. Very cool. So what familiar locations and characters will fans of like the original series recognize, and what new settings can fans like look forward to that maybe they've always kind of wondered about that they will like, oh well, I'll finally get to encounter this.
No, we decided we didn't want settings this time, so we didn't do it.
Oh, you don't want to,
no settings for you.
All right.
So the Forbidden Zone is a big deal. Ape City is there. We explore a big portion of Ape City, but not all of it because we have future plans. Something that we've added to past Ape City is the provinces. It's something mentioned in the TV series that there are little hamlets and villages all over the place that are, a little separated from the city, but in the green areas, not in the Forbidden Zone. There's Manhattan, the Undercity that the mutants live in, that's buried under the desert of the Forbidden Zone. Character-wise, so basically we set up the core book so that here's the quintessential classic Planet of the Apes. Now go make your own Planet of the Apes with this stuff. Take it however you want. Okay.
Yep.
And that's why we made the Ansa Files source book, which is a source book for the movies and the novels. So even though events and stuff and flavor and lore and stuff from that is in the core book, if you want to specifically make this about the films, you need this source book, because not only do we have specific characters like Dr. Zaius and Taylor and the mutant leader Mendez, we also since the movies take place over several time periods, you can play in any of the time periods from the movies. So there's an 80-page section on just playing in the Conquest era, So we give you the tools to do pretty much anything you want in the franchise here. In that book, there's bios for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many. It's got to be over 100 characters that appear in the films. So one of the cool things that's in there also is you are able to play your astronaut training before you leave if you decide you want to play astronaut characters. And it's set up in a way where you could even, if you could tell your players, hey, I want to try this new game about being an astronaut in the 60s and training for that and going on missions, and you can have your players do that and have them do all this stuff and then say, oh, by the way, now you're on the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, that's kind of neat. Yeah, I like that.
The other option for that I was thinking, and I put into the book, I thought would be really cool, is something you're doing now ties into something that happened during your past, and you could play flashback eras during your astronaut training that ties into what's happening now in the future of the Planet of the Apes. So we opened up so many doors with this. So.
That's very cool. Very cool. I've got one more question for you, but before we get to it, I'll say that if anybody that's watching live, if you have any questions for Drew about other projects, about his work, on the Planet of the Apes novels, any of the other RPGs, or just maybe his life, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be glad to talk a little bit about that. I'm sure he'd love to talk about his fur baby, Adrien. How's Adrien doing, by the way?
I don't know if you can see him, but he's right.
Oh, he's right there. Look at that.
Yeah, he's just out of shot, unfortunately.
Aw.
He's asleep right now. That's his bed right here, though. He's doing good. He's doing good. Yeah. On my last interview, he tapped me on the leg, and I turned around, and he was sitting in the camera shot. And I explained to the guy that the cat is actually famous because he's a playable character in the Alien game. And the minute I said that, Adrien went and took off. And the interviewer was like, "See, he just wanted you to acknowledge his fame." So,
wow! It's like almost like they understand when you talk to them.
Yeah.
I know my cat does. My cat definitely knows when I'm talking to him, but I don't think he's all that impressed most of the time.
It's been very difficult because in Planet of the Apes, cats and dogs died off in the 80s.
Oh, that's true.
So
yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how to put Adrien in this game, and I haven't figured it out yet. He made it into Alien. He didn't make it into Terminator either because for some reason it didn't even occur to me, and now I wish it had. But yeah, so I got to find the next game that he's going to fit in.
I love that. I love that you kind of work like I love the idea of you working him into pretty much almost every product line that you're working on. I think that would be just like really cool Easter egg for every for Uber fans.
Mm-hmm.
My last question for you that I have is what, as someone that's been working with this property, that has what you said you've been working on since you've been working on Planet of the Apes and like with the novels and like the timeline and all that for about, you said since 2015? Is that what I remember?
Well, the first book came out in 2011, but we got the license in 2008. So pretty much I've been working on Apes since 2008.
Wow, that's crazy. That's I mean, when you think about it, you're like, oh, 2008 wasn't all that long ago. It's been a little while. It's 2008's been a while.
What is that? 16 years? Is that right?
Yeah. I was gonna say 15, but then I remembered it was 2024, and yeah, that's 16 years.
16 years. Wow, I got it right the first time, and I don't even do math. Look at that.
So as somebody that's been, kind of had their hands somewhere on this IP for almost 16 years and some here and there, what excites you the most about this classic science fiction universe? Like what really makes you just go, you know what, this is why I love Planet of the Apes?
I think the thing that is really big to me is there's two ways of looking at Planet of the Apes. Okay, there's the way I looked at it when I was 5 years old, when I first saw the first movie, which was, oh look, monkeys on horseback. Like it's this action thing, and they have guns. It's even better. So it's this action environment that's just shoot them up and beat them up and all that stuff, and then Apes has this subtext, and that subtext is what always got to me. Even as a kid, I was like, they're talking about stuff that I've seen, like people making fun of someone else at school and stuff like that. It ties in so much to the stupidity of some of the things that we've done and don't even realize it as a species. And it's a good check yourself before you wreck yourself, I guess. And that always resonated to me, and I just thought, and in fact, that's why we created two modes in the game. There is thematic mode,
okay,
which is you pick an important issue that we're going to make this campaign about, and we'll deal with that issue and what falls out from it. And then there's also monkeys on horseback mode, which allows you to just have flat out action.
Okay.
So, because I was like, the thematic stuff, I love it, but for some people, it's probably gonna be heavy stuff. Yep. So, you want pure escapism of monkeys on horses with guns? You got it. You want to dive into important issues and reflect on everything that we do that's wrong? You got that too. I mean, it's similar to Alien. Alien, you know, people are like, oh, it's a monster movie. Yeah, it's about how terrible humanity is, really.
Sure.
You know, and so like I think that's the theme of a lot of the stuff that I like for some reason, how awful we are.
Sure.
Even Terminator, the mistakes we made that led to us creating this thing that our own creation killed us. You know, it's interesting things, and I think good science fiction always has that extra level of telling us something important about our own condition, whether it's a victory or not. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
So yeah, that's what means the most to me about it.
Nice, very cool. I love that. So speaking of you seeing the Planet of the Apes movies when you were 5 years old,
yeah.
Was there anybody that introduced you? Like, was there anybody that like? Because I'll tell you, my dad was the one that introduced me to the movies growing up. So like, that's always like it's always gonna have that nostalgia with like, oh, my dad was like, hey, you know, well, let's sit down and watch this movie, and you know, those are great movies in general. But like the fact that my dad introduced them to me, do you have any? Is there any reason behind why you watched them at 5 years old?
Yeah, it was absolutely my mother. Like,
oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, I was watching cartoons on Saturday morning, and she would usually kick me and my sister out of the house to go play on the block after cartoons, you know. And the cartoons ended, and it was like, coming up next, Planet of the Apes. And my mother's like, oh, no, you're not going out today. You're going to sit here and watch this with me. And the funny thing is that the minute there were horses, I turned to her and I said, so they're on Earth? And she says, no, you can have alien horses. And I was like, oh, okay, they're alien horses. I was like, well, in Star Trek, the alien horses have horns. Because my dad used to watch Star Trek with me. He was the Star Trek guy. So they don't have the horns, but they're alien horses. Trust me. I was like, oh, okay, Mom. You know, then at the end, I was like, you tricked me.
She didn't want to spoil it for you, Drew. Come on.
It meant
that first movie. That's the big reveal. Come on.
That movie meant a lot to her. You know, when she saw it, when she was, you know, a little bit younger. Because this was, gosh, if I was 5, that was 1977, and she saw it 9 years before that when it came out in the theater. So, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, so it meant a lot to her, and actually the funny thing is that my mother's the one who got me into Alien also. Yeah. So yeah. Well, she loves Sigourney Weaver. When she saw Alien, it was like a strong female character. You know, she thought the strong female sci-fi lead was great, and so that's how I got into that. But yeah, so I guess this is all my mother's fault. Thanks, Mom.
Hey, so we have Drew's mom to thank for all of this awesome tabletop goodness that we're getting here over the last how long has it been since Alien's been out? Alien came out in 2019.
Yeah.
It's 5 years. 5 years, Drew. Yep. You've been working in this TTRPG scene. What's that? What'd you say?
5 years of excellence. No.
It's really awesome to see you just kind of, you know, gain momentum in this industry, because, you know, we've had discussions, you know, privately and in person that, like, you know, you've put a lot of work behind the scenes, you know, for quite a few years, and you've worked on some really great things as we've talked about previously, you know, working on the timeline and working on, you know, canon and continuity Bibles, and you know, a lot of that stuff goes unrecognized. So to see you kind of come into your own with these awards and with some really awesome looking products and really well done products, like it's awesome to see you just keep building off of that success.
Thank you. I was actually very happy to see that Building Better Worlds, it was recognized, the Alien book that came out last year, right? Earlier this year it came out. Earlier
this year.
Yeah. I was happy to see that was recognized at UKGE. But you just got me thinking about this, and my mother is also the one who bought me the red box for Dungeons and Dragons back in 1983.
Wow, that's your mom's pretty awesome, Drew. I'm not gonna say, like, come on, like we need more moms like that in the world. I think
she always wanted us to read and to do things like, you know, with like, and I was an artist. I mean, I thought I was gonna be. I went to college for art also, and I switched to writing halfway through it. But so she would always support the art, and one of the things she would do is every payday she would take us to a bookstore, and she would say, "You can buy as many books as you want, pick as many books as you want. I'll find a way to pay for them, but you cannot get another book until you've read everything that you buy today." So caused me, I'll read all these books real fast, and then, Ma, I need more books, So she probably made me the total nerd I am and sci-fi geek. So good job, Mom.
I should have had a mom like that, because then maybe I'd read some of these RPG books a little bit more. Like,
you just look at them and put them on the shelf.
I'm kind of backlogged a little bit, Mom. You didn't really. Yeah, man. I don't know. Oh well.
Maybe it's also all that reading is why I'm pretty decent at putting together these Bibles, because I'm able to pretty much very quickly absorb. Okay, this is important. This is important. This is important. So yeah, this is really her fault. I'm gonna have to have a talk with her.
Love that. Well, I'm sure that when you talk with her, just tell her that we all say thank you. We all say thank you for.
That'll make her tear up. I'll definitely tell
her. JRDE has a question. It says, I don't know. I know it may not be the moment to ask, but will you keep on working on the Alien RPG? Amazing game, my favorite. It's not usual to see such a huge universe in an IP game. Amazing work.
I love the Alien game and all my work I've done on it, and I really can't talk about anything about it right now, unfortunately.
Sure.
So, but yes, I'm a huge fan, and if the opportunity presents itself, absolutely, I would totally continue. Yep. And I'm not saying that it presented itself or that it didn't. So just leave it at that.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, it's just been really, really great to see you go from one property to another, and it's really great to see Magnetic Press Play jump out of the gate with like this big property. I mean, you did I think you did a phenomenal job with Carbon Gray, and if anybody hasn't already picked that up, you should definitely take a look at it and pick it up. I love the book itself. I love the rounded corners. I think more books, more RPG books should have rounded corners, by the way.
It's kind of Magnetic's signature thing on all their books, and the reason why they started it is because when Magnetic started 10 years ago, they kept getting returns with dented corners. So he's like, the hell with this, we're doing rounded corners. And very few complaints since then.
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those little things that just you go, is this? Oh, this is kind of nice. I like this. Like, it's like, why aren't we doing more of this? So, but anyway, the graphic design and the layout and all that, and just the quality of the books were amazing. So it's great to see you be able to take that standard and put it with an IP like Planet of the Apes, and I know once folks get these products in their hands, they're going to be very, very impressed with what they're going to receive.
Last year, I was very happy that Carbon Gray got nominated for an Emmy. It didn't win, but it got nominated for Best Production Values. And
yeah,
honestly, when we started with Carbon Gray, we were like, okay, can we do this, and can we do this really awesome? And what we did on Carbon Gray has led to several licenses that are coming up, because people, you put that down in front of a major corporation, they're like, oh, okay, you know what you're doing. I'm very happy that it came out. And it also, there are certain things that we were like, you know what, we can do better than that, and that's reflected in Apes. So,
nice.
Well, I would like to tell people though that even though they're not announced, there are lots of miniature stretch goals that are coming up.
Yes.
On the Planet of the Apes RPG Kickstarter. So we're not announcing. We're not supposed to announce everything all at once. We're supposed to do it piecemeal as things come to different levels. But these are the miniatures that are included with the box set. As a box set, as part of the regular releases. But But if you scroll to the top of this page when you're done with that, you'll see the dice tower.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Let me. I'll take this off screen and then I'll put it back on so folks can. They don't get whiplash as I'm scrolling all the way to the top.
This was unlocked in the first day. Actually, it's a Statue of Liberty dice tower. You can put dice in the back of her head and they'll roll out the cave at the bottom.
Nice. I like that. That's pretty cool.
She's about 12 inches tall. And she comes with these extra miniatures of scarecrows and a mutant underdweller from the animated series. So it's that is available for extra purchase of $49. You just go into your pledge and you just add it on, right? That's how it works. Yeah. These character pads you're getting for free, just for getting us to 155. This ship blueprints once we reach 190K. It's got that image on one side, and on the other side, if you want to scroll down, Doug, to the interior of the ANSA book, you'll see the spread that is actually on the other side of there.
Let me. I hate to scroll super fast down while it's on the screen, so I try to save everybody. I will tell folks that if you're curious about this Kickstarter at all. You do have there's a primer that you can download as well, and it gives you more.
That's on DriveThruRPG.
Yeah.
So you can click on the link to download it from the Kickstarter, or you can go straight to DriveThruRPG. No, that's not the ship. That's a different ship. It's the one in the ANSA. The book is opened up in the ANSA book. Just scroll up a little bit. I think this one. Yeah,
that's right there.
That's the ship on the other side of the blueprint. It's the same ship. It's the Liberty class that we see in the movies.
Yep.
One side has its blueprints. The other side has its cutaway. And that's a 24 by 36 map. And on that map, poster. And it is free once we reach 190K. Just gets added
now. Just looking at this Kickstarter and looking at the primer that I downloaded when the Kickstarter launched, you've got some amazing art. Like the art in this project is just really, really well done. I love it so much. Can we acknowledge some of the artists that you have working? Let's because I think some of the artists. I think artists in this industry and in this are really some of the underappreciated. People or folks that work on these projects. So if we can acknowledge some of these folks that have done a tremendous job with this project so far, let's do that.
Yeah, they're all listed at the bottom of the page, but I'll tell you right now, the ape art that you see here, the two top images, was done by Runa. She's a German artist, and she's phenomenal. I'm so happy to work with her. We're going to be working with her on tons of projects now. She just gets what you want. Nice. She figures it out and figures out how to make it work, and just very happy with her. The cross section, the cutaway of the ship, is done by Shane Molina. Actually, just so you know, on my author page, the Andrew E.C. Gaska page, not on Facebook, not the Andrew Gaska, but the Andrew E.C. Gaska one, we are doing quick bios for each of the creators, the artists and writers. Every day we're putting out one. Today we put E.L. Thomas, who's just one of the writers. So if you're interested in who's did what, you can go there every day for the next couple of weeks, and you'll get a bio on a different one of the artists. The breathtaking landscapes that you see for the ape stuff was done by Chris Scalf, I've known him for years. He's a good guy. He did some Boba Fett comics, and I think a Darth Maul thing also for Dark Horse.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and he's an Apes fan, and he's a huge fan of some of the other properties that we're going to be working on. And he's like, I'm in. So I'm so happy to. It's feeding Adrien time. I just got bit. So hold on a second.
Oh, I gotcha.
What do you call it? There you go, buddy. So Chandra Free has done the backgrounds, because rather than have white backgrounds, I wanted to have text and boxes with some kind of flavor to it. And we got some amazing artists on this, and I think it helps sell the whole project.
I love, like, in this box set, you've got a GM screen, and it's got the three, orangutans there. That
Runa did that image, the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil one, and
I love that so much.
I put it in the book, and then we came to the GM screen, and we're like, what are we going to do for the GM screen? And it was just so obvious it had to be this.
Sure.
So
good, so good. Well, I'm super excited for this project as an Apes fan and as a Drew Gaska fan. I think this is a combination that I think is going to just see a lot of hype later on down the road. If anybody, like I said, if anybody's interested in this Kickstarter and you're interested in anything we've talked about, go check out the Kickstarter. There's a couple books, a box set. You can even get the PDFs if you'd rather just get the PDFs digitally. Any kind of support definitely helps the project. So feel free to back that. If there's anything else that you'd like to say to folks, Drew, before we sign off and call it a session.
Just that, I think this is the right time for these licenses to get stuff, get really important games. And for so many years, licenses were looked at a way to cash in easy on a property. And Free League was the first company that I worked with that it was quite clear that they were interested in quality over everything else. And they wanted to put their hearts into it, and I put my heart into it. And Magnetic is the same way about what they want to do. We want to do it right, and each one of these games is just not a game with the name tacked onto it. There are things that sing true to the property, and that's the most important stuff about this. This isn't somebody's cousin getting a job because they got the license and they didn't know what to do. This is people who love what they're doing the best they can, and I'm very happy to have had authors like Dayton Ward and Greg Cox. Rich Hanley working with me on the Ensa book. They're all talented authors who've been around the block and know what they're doing, and they love Apes. So
nice. Very cool. If folks would like, and you've said that this is hopefully one of a few projects that Magnetic Press Play is going to have coming up down the road. If folks would like to keep in touch with Magnetic Press Play or find out more about what they've got coming up later on down the road, is there any place you'd like to send folks to so that they can keep an eye on all the things that are coming out from you and Magnetic Press Play?
Yeah, you can go to Magnetic Press Play on Facebook. That they have a page there where they give a lot of updates. Also, you can get on their mailing list if you go to magneticpress.com, the website. Because that's the parent company. Magnetic Press Play is the game division of Magnetic Press. Magnetic Press has been doing graphic novels for the past decade, bringing over quality books from Europe, getting them translated here for the first time, and putting them out in amazingly beautiful editions. And that's what they've been nominated for. Oh my gosh, I want to say 38 Ennies. It's a lot. Yeah. If I'm wrong with that number, then that's just lack of sleep talking. But I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And we can confirm that in the comments on your video or say don't listen to Gaska. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So yeah, it's that's you can reach Magnetic. I actually, I'm embarrassed to say I don't know their Twitter handle. I'm sure it's Magnetic Press or something like that. And you can also, if you want to talk to me, you can contact me on Andrew Gaska or Andrew E.C. Gaska on Facebook. I usually answer questions. Sometimes it takes a little bit because I'm eyes deep in Apes, but or working on some other project. But I do answer. I love talking to the public. I do conventions and talk on panels and everything. So yeah, you got a question, hit me up.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's going to do it for our session. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Again, if you've watched all of this way and you haven't already, please hit that like button down below. Let us know whether or not you're interested in this awesome product line coming from Drew and Magnetic Press Play. Mr. Dragonbane says, "We love you, Andrew. Keep up the amazing work."
I'm a little disappointed though, Doug, because you didn't ask me once when if Predator's going to be in the Alien game.
No, we don't. I do enough of these conventions that I don't need to. We don't need that question anymore. I think it's like seriously deleted out of my existence. Like
I'm glad I'm glad you're tired as much as I am.
Oh my word! Oh my word! But yeah, no, I'm super excited. Let us know in the comments if you're as excited. Thank you to Drew for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I always love being here.
Would love having you, and thank you to the community for coming out and watching this live. And remember, winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. We'll see you next time. Bye now.